Let's talk a little bit more about the situation here, and we're joined now by Ann Wright, retired U.S. Army colonel, also activist of Occupy D.C. Thank you for joining us on the program today. So do you agree that Washington and big business are in bed together, or is it possible, though, this position has been overplayed?
I don't think it's been overplayed at all. I think that what we're facing now in the United States is a critical situation, a dangerous situation where corporations are truly running the country. They're buying off very blatantly our politicians, and that's why we're out on the streets all over America to say no to this corruption and graft within the business community that funnels over into the political situation.
Okay, so as you say, the big business is certainly influencing initiatives and policies on Capitol Hill. But what action do you expect to come from Washington and possibly from Wall Street in response to the ongoing protests? I understand now is a fairly politically sensitive time with the 2012 presidential election just around the corner.
Well, indeed, and these protests, I hope, are being seen by politicians as what the people really are concerned about and what they demand from politicians, which is honesty, which is not being bought off by corporations. However, I'm not too optimistic about this. I think we are facing a very, very difficult situation where the politicians don't really care much about the average person. We hope we can make them care at the election when we'll get millions, hundreds of millions of people to vote them out of office if they keep doing this graft and corruption, if they keep spending money on wars, if they keep giving sweetheart deals to all their buddies. But right now, it's a tough situation. Even though we have groups all over the country and city squares, we need millions of people more to be out there actively protesting what's going on.
So would you say that the protests in the United States at this point have been fairly small scale in compared to what we've seen, for example, in parts of the Eurozone over 2011? We've seen tens of thousands in various European capitals.
Absolutely. In fact, I was in Greece this summer and was in Syntagma Square with hundreds of thousands of Greeks that turn out there about every other weekend, and tens of thousands that every single night are on Syntagma Square, the main square in Athens. So we in the United States haven't yet developed that volume, although the Wall Street, the New York one, is very large. The Washington one is growing. Boston is growing. I think as this keeps moving day by day, week by week, we will see a lot more people coming out on the streets. And as the media finally reports all of the sweetheart deals that are being given to these corporations, it really is important that what the media tells us about what's going on is so important. So we thank you for that excellent report right before I came on that really lays it out tragically of what's going on here.
Now, as you were saying, that there's a need and a desire for a greater volume of protesters to hit the streets in major U.S. capitals. But one of the problems with that is we're already seeing that police have been getting tough with some demonstrators in Boston and earlier in New York. What's been the attitude to that on Capitol Hill?
Well, every time the police beat up somebody, that just brings out hundreds, thousands more people. I don't want it to happen that way, that the police just keep beating people up, but the people are responding to it by coming out to saying, you can't do this anymore. Here in D.C., we've encountered a different situation where even the D.C. City Council has said the occupiers should be here, that it's a right of protest. The police have not kicked us off of an area that October 2011 has had called Freedom Plaza. In fact, we may be able to stay there another 4 months. Another group called Occupy DC that's down at McPherson Square doesn't even have a permit, and they've got tents that are up on it. We've been working with the police in order to make sure that things are peaceful, nonviolent, and when we take to the streets, we are respectful of emergency vehicles that have to get through there. But we are occupying a lot of Washington, and so far the City Council has been very good. Now, the Capitol Hill people have arrested 10 people day before yesterday. We did banner drops inside one of the Senate office buildings. 6 people arrested there. Disruptions in the Senate Finance Committee.
But as you say, the numbers, comparatively speaking, the numbers here are very, very small. Now, we've spoken to some of the protesters taking part in the Occupy Wall Street movement. Many of them saying that the U.S. government is in bed with, for example, the defense industries, the mineral extraction or energy agencies, the telecommunication industries. Here we are having fairly small protests protests in major American cities. What else can be done? Apart from sending people out onto the streets to get ultimately detained by police, is there another way to go about getting your voices heard?
Well, certainly we've tried everything. I mean, we have had town meetings with our elected representatives. We've deluged them with emails, with telephone calls. These are the traditional ways that we do it: closing down places, closing down streets, closing down businesses, going into the houses of Congress physically with our bodies are, kind of the next step in this. And until we get a response from our elected officials that they're listening to us and that they will clean up the mess that they have created, which is corporate greed being sanctioned, being okayed by the U.S. government and our officials, and special laws being written for them. Until we get them to change that, we will have to continue just to keep increasing the levels of pressure, and who knows what we're going to do next. It's a creative time. It's a time for people to really look closely at what the pressure points are on these politicians and on the corporations. As Obama said, he said some of the things they're doing is not illegal, but they're immoral, and that's really the crux of it. When you have these immoral, greedy pigs that are taking billions for their personal wealth and don't care, when we have homeless all over the world, that we have kids that don't have good education anymore, that we have roads that are beaten up, and yet the greedy pigs at the top just keep sucking up more and more billions of dollars just for their pockets. That's enraging, and we are enraged.
We understand. Colonel Ann Wright, activist of the Occupy Wall Street movement in D.C. Thank you very much.
Thank you.